So yeah, magnetic relationships, attracting the right or the wrong people. Is anyone right or wrong? Is everyone trying to bring out in us what we are so that we can review that? Sometimes when we meet someone new, we are looking for attributes and ideas and behaviour even that we can identify with. And it transpires sometimes that we think we've met someone who's rather interesting, we were somehow attracted to them, and we discover after a while that they seem to press buttons in us, and we start to feel that we're not getting as much out of the relationship as we thought we might when we first met this person. I'm sure many of you will identify with what I'm talking about, because what I'm talking about is the art of magnetic attraction. In other words, the people we actually feel a pull to. We feel a pull to get to know them, and sometimes this happens entirely unconsciously. We don't always say, well, I'm going out to know this person or that person, and they need to be made of this or that, and they need to be able to exhibit something that brings out something in me, etc., etc., etc. That doesn't always happen. It's an entirely unconscious thing. And this is the remarkable thing about it, that we can maybe have about 20 people in a room, and we will often make a beeline for someone that we are magnetically attracted to. Now, you could call this a psychological attraction, you could call it a karmic attraction even, that you're trying to relate to someone that helps you resolve certain issues in yourself, or you're just attracted anyway. I find this rather remarkable that we can often select somebody out of a large group of people who, once we get to know them, they will exhibit very similar qualities to someone we might have known before, someone completely unrelated to this person. It's almost like we're meeting something of the same person each time. It's a very, very big field, worthy of debate, I think, because what we actually find when we're magnetically attracted to somebody is we want to be attracted to someone who's going to be the right sort of person. In other words, they're going to bring out the best things in us. We're going to have an interactive relationship with them where they can value what I do, I can value what they do. It's that sort of thing. And none of us go looking for the wrong person, for the person who's going to put a barrier up to that. And yet sometimes we will actually end up meeting what we might see as the wrong person. And we don't usually discover this until the relationship has got going, and we think, well, why was I attracted to that person? Why did I get into a relationship with that person? Either on a personal level or just a basic friendship. Why has this happened? And it always happens. Adapting to the way you are is key to helping this situation, and helps you to identify, when you meet someone new, identify with the kind of person they are, but also to explore a little and experiment a little, so that as you get to know that person, you're not putting the barriers up. You're not saying, well, I'm never going to talk to anybody who exhibits that behaviour again. You have to give it time. This has happened to me quite a few times, and you have to give it time. When you meet someone that you feel is someone you get on with, you've got to give it the benefit of the doubt, as they say. You've got to get to know them a bit more, and if there are a few things that shout at you, then you've just got to explore and experiment. I have covered this sort of thing before, but the fact that when we talk about magnetic attraction, that's quite an issue, because that means that there's almost something magical involved. We're attracted to somebody who is going to give us something. They're going to bring something out in us. They're going to get us to have specific thoughts and feelings that, who knows, they may be unresolved in us. And once again, we're meeting that kind of individual because we're meeting these sensations within us. Meeting the wrong person that we might be magnetically attracted to isn't a bad thing, because what we've got to do is realise what we can do within that situation. All the feelings you have that are stirred up by meeting someone you feel is the wrong person allow you to start examining your own self, and to see how you are actually affected by this person. And if you are affected in a really negative way, in other words, if you feel lousy, you feel depressed, you feel anxious, you feel stirred up, you feel all sorts of feelings that you don't really want to have, this allows you to examine them. And if it hasn't happened to you, you're likely to meet the wrong person so that this can happen. And once you start to examine and explore these feelings, these sensations that you have after meeting somebody who presses your buttons in the wrong way, then you can start to see what the other person is doing as well, and whether it's worth keeping them in your life or whether it's worth letting them go. Now that brings us to another issue, because if you're magnetically attracted to somebody, sometimes letting someone go can be a really, really tough thing to do. If this person has exhibited behaviour to you that you like, but then there's these little issues that they might keep nitpicking or doing something that presses your buttons and you think, I don't like that bit, but I like the other bit, so it's worth knowing them. But it might be worth reviewing that to see how much your buttons are pressed, how much you are affected by somebody you are magnetically attracted to. And then make a decision as to whether you should really bite the bullet and let them go. A tough thing to do, but sometimes we have to do it. The magnetic attraction idea is going to happen to everyone. We are all going to be attracted to partners, and sometimes over and over again the same person will cross the threshold and we will meet the same behaviour in a partner. It's going to happen with casual friendships. We will find a friend exhibiting the same, and that brings out something in us. It takes two to tango, as I often say, so it's not always the other person, it's not always you. Magnetic means two. They've come together. Two have come together and they've forged a bond. And this bond, for you, has probably been forged a long, long time ago, perhaps when you were a child, perhaps in your earlier adult life. It could have happened anywhere. So you're repeatedly attracting someone who is going to step over your threshold and press your buttons and activate what you are, what you have to give. So examining that, exploring that can help. But sometimes you won't be able to do that until you're actually in the throes of knowing someone who is pressing your buttons, which isn't very comfortable, I must say. It isn't very comfortable. But examining your behaviour, examining their behaviour, and trying to be a bit of a referee in the middle, to look at both, to something that looks at you, something that looks at them. You have to be completely neutral to be able to do this, and you have to be able to see you as you really are, and to see them as they really are. And then you can start to see what that magnetism is all about. It's unlikely that you'll cure the idea of attracting a certain person, but you can manage it so that you can get the best out of a relationship and the best out of yourself and so that you won't step over the boundaries of making mistakes, making a fool of yourself, feeling dreadful, feeling anxious. You won't do any of that. And if the other person is giving you grief, then you'll be able to see that for what it is, and you'll really be able to know what you're dealing with, and then you make the decision as to whether it's better to continue with that person or whether you need to give them their marching orders or just fade away or something, you know. So yeah, magnetic relationships, attracting the right or the wrong people. Is anyone right or wrong? Is everyone trying to bring out in us what we are so that we can review that and see maybe the changes we can make in ourselves? We've got to make a few changes in ourselves, and then we can allow our emotions to flow, sensations to run away, but we can know what is happening when that takes place. And we won't load ourselves onto other people, and we won't permit them to load themselves onto us. A few thoughts here. Have a think about it, and think about the magnetic attraction you have, or you have had in the past. It's hard to see it as it's happening or in the future, but think about what's happened in the past, what kind of people you've attracted. Sometimes the same kind of person. But ultimately, have a look in that mirror. Have a look at yourself and see what you can change to make your life better. Make yourself less vulnerable to the wrong people, and to help you to bring out what you have, to maybe get more out of the relationship with the right people. Have a think about it. It's all an experiment, it's all a work in progress. That's what the human soul is. Okay, thanks for listening as always. I'll talk more soon. Bye.